Joining me this week is Peter Farrell, aka Just in Shape. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon.
No problem at all.
So you've been wrestling now since 2003, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, well, you can ask. It's 2003 according to everyone, but I can't remember what dates.
You can't remember?
So it's either late 2002, early 2003.
Okay. So what influenced you to be a pro wrestler in the first place after all those years?
Again, another one that I have no recollection of the first day I started watching wrestling, or like any kind of an incident that has me going, wow. It's just always been there. I've just always watched.
So, but you can't bring back to yourself, I'd like to try this one day. So
I just remember being in school and having so many friends that were wrestling crazy, and there was no doubt in our minds that we were all going to be professional wrestlers. Like 20 guys, we're all going to be professional wrestlers, and that was it.
Pretty cool. And you've been wrestling now under many different promotions, especially here in Ireland. Like, so what's it been like to wrestle across all these different promotions? Like, especially like going from one to the other over the years. Like, so. Yeah,
normally in Ireland, anyways, the promotions are more or less all the same. Mm-hmm. Nice people in probably working GAA halls in front of family-friendly crowds. So it's kind of samey. When you're going from one place to the next, it's always going to be the same. But you meet different people and you get to wrestle different people. That's the best thing about going to these different promotions.
Right, that's cool. Now, before you wrestled under Just in Shape, which you're famously known for in Over the Top Wrestling.
I don't know about famously, but yeah.
Well, you're I like to think you're one of the most infamous characters there. That's just my opinion. You've wrestled under other personas such as Gunbarrel Farrell or Justin Bred.
Yeah.
So where did the ideas come from, those personas especially?
Gunbarrel Farrell was a short-lived character that not a lot of people liked. didn't get behind it. I had one successful outing against Andy Phoenix in Donegal.
Okay.
And it went really well, and I loved it. Gunbarrel Farrell just came out and shouted "baboof" and held guns up, and I thought that was enough. Like, just it was my fingers, and So I tried it another couple of times, and it didn't really wash off. So Gunbarrel Farrell was retired.
And what about Justin Bred?
Justin Bred was my first ever character that I came up with, and I wanted to be a traveller, but I wanted to do it in the worst possible way. I was gonna just go above and beyond what the stereotypes were gonna be.
It almost insults the stereotype.
Oh, so much. But you have to understand, at the time I'm 16, 17, and I'm thinking that if I'm gonna be a bad guy, I'm gonna do it the right way. But I was quickly told by people that was probably not going to work out. It wasn't going to be safe for me. So I kept the name and wrestled as Justin Bred with no character, just myself. And the name kind of stuck for years.
So of course now you wrestle under the persona of Just in Shape. So how would you describe the character of yourself and the Gymnasties as well?
Yeah, so Just in Shape came about in 2009. 2009? Yeah, so when we were getting ready for an AWR tour. Mm-hmm. AWR's run by one of the guys that ran AWR runs OTT. So Joe is his name. Mm-hmm. And one night he needed someone to wrestle Sabu. Just watch your feet there, I'm dropping names. Sabu was in a lot of pain and couldn't really wrestle a straight match, but he'd arrived, and he was willing to wrestle a match as long as he didn't have to take any big bumps or hurt himself. And so they looked for someone that could get beaten up easily, and my name was thrown in. And Joe at the time wanted me to play a fitness instructor. He said it'd be hilarious for me to play a fitness instructor because I am the most unfit person there. And he said, just come up with a name. And I remember I was racking my brain all day, just what am I going to do? Where am I going to get this name? And it just 10 minutes before I was supposed to go through the curtain to wrestle the match, it came to me, like I was already Justin Bred, and so many Justin jokes had already been played on me, just in time, just in shape, just in there's countless. I'd like to implore people, do not come up to me and give me what they think is the new Justin name for my next gimmick, because I've heard every single one of them. Yeah. But when it came to it that night, I thought, just in shape, fitness instructor. And I said it to Joe. He said, love it. And that's that. Like, I've been just in shape ever since.
That's pretty cool. And like as I said, like you've teamed up with the Gymnasties. You trained with the guys in Gymnasties in Fight Factory, is that correct?
I've trained the guys.
Yeah,
so they've how it came about with the Gymnasties is that, again, Joe got onto me at this stage. Before OTT came along, I was kind of giving up a little bit on working shows. I was kind of getting tired of breaking myself up for, in front of 70 people in brightly lit GA halls.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of said, I'm going to take a step back. So Joe got onto me and said, would you do a manager role in OTT? And I said I'd give it a go because it was over 18s. And, you have, like, if Joe's involved, it's going to be good. So I said I'd give it a go. And he threw me in with Barry, who's Be Cool. And at the time it was Katie Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
And we just went out and had a bit of fun, and it really took off. Like, when you're doing that kind of thing with your friends, it takes off. Like, so the idea behind Just in Shape obviously was he's going to be this unfit fitness instructor who comes and tells people that they need to get fit, even though he's ironically the most unfit person in the room. And I think Joe just thought Barry would be a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
At the start with OTT, Sam, who's Sammy D, obviously, he had a totally different gimmick, kind of a stoner gimmick at the start, and it didn't really hit home with people,
right?
And so he was thrown in with us for the second week, and it just clicked. From there, like, we haven't looked back since. Like, for us as a trio, like, we're out there once a month, hanging with our best friends, getting to basically just act a fool.
Yeah.
And we probably have more fun than a lot of people out there.
Yeah,
like, a lot of the more serious wrestlers are probably telling you that they're having a better time because they're having the more serious matches, but who's laughing more?
Yeah, exactly. And I know you guys are tag team champions as well. So
they are.
They are. You're manager of tag
which,
team champions. That's just you're just as much credit for that. So, so are there any other wrestlers or people that influence any part of the Just in Shape character? Like any of the antics in particular that you thought, I saw this guy, maybe I could use this.
Well, when it came down to it, that I said that, right, I'm sticking to comedy wrestling. I obviously just got onto YouTube, and it's great having YouTube there as a reference to get back to. So you can go back to look at a lot of guys from World of Sport that just so, like, simple things that it's not even like the moves that you're doing. It's kind of like how you're going to react and interact with the audience and stuff like that. Like, Les Kellett is one of them. If you ever get a chance to look at him on YouTube, it's absolutely hilarious. Cool. And I've obviously gone up through the years and came across, like, Cole Cabana at the time, and, like, I've stolen so much of his stuff. He was obviously, it was a big kind of a rub for me to get to work with him in Limerick last month, and I told him, I just said, look, I've spent years stealing stuff from you, and he was like, oh, cool. I'm glad I could help. Like, but that's mostly with the comedy stuff. It's like, you just YouTube it, like, but for the character itself, it's the character just, like, when you walk out and you go, right, I'm going to be a delusional fitness instructor.
Yeah. Just
go onto Facebook. So I'm sure you've got 7 friends on Facebook who are delusional fitness instructors with FETAC degrees or whatever they're supposed to be called, that, like, are just people who are sitting in a small t-shirt with a fat gut letting on to be a fitness instructor.
Well, when I saw your ring attire, first time I seen you was when you were against Duncan Disorderly, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you had, like, the multicolored suit, and it's like, who wears that? A fitness instructor, Mr. Motivator.
Yeah, so that's Mr. Motivator. Like, I've googled images of Mr. Motivator for references on my next singlets so many times, because his style is just impeccable.
Absolutely. So obviously you've been trained, of course, by Fergal, Devitt and Paul Tracey down in the Fight Factory down in Bred, right? How have they influenced you in your wrestling career?
Oh, big time. Like, I owe everything in wrestling to Fergal and Paul, without a doubt. Like, without them, there'd be no Just in Shape anyway. As for a start, there'd be no Sean Max or Brennan, Jordan Devlin. There's countless people that would have been influenced by them. Absolutely. And like, directly and indirectly. Like, for instance, if you just have a look at Paul in the ring now, and what way he moves in the ring, what way he works with the audience, and what way he interacts with people, like both in the ring and outside of the ring. You got it. Like you just watch him and learn. So and you can do it. You can do it with him every day. And Fergal's kind of like the other side of the spectrum, where his in-ring stuff is impeccable. Obviously, you're not going to see me doing any double stomps off the top rope or anything like that. But when you see what he can do with his movement in the ring, it's just impeccable. Like, and so if you can't watch either of those two men and take something from it that you can use yourself, then you're not doing wrestling right. That's the way I see it, anyways.
So in your long career now, you've been in the ring now, from my record of it, like now you've been in the ring now 12, 13 years. Like I went into a cage match the other day and like, 2003, that's where I discovered it. Like,
yeah.
So who are your favourite wrestlers to be in the ring with, and why in all that time?
To be in the ring with, wow, there's been absolutely loads, I suppose, in that time. But it always kind of keeps going back to the same kind of people. Obviously, I love being with the Gymnasties, whether it's with or against those two guys. Like, you're going to have a ball. It's going to be an easy match, and also you're just going to have a riot. Like, I seem to always be put in with Danny Butler. Like when we started off first, we went to primary school together. Like, so
is that right?
Yeah, we're friends for life. Like, so we've been 3-time tag team champions of Ireland. When we started off with NWA first, so it always seems that I'm either with Danny, or I'm going to be working against him, and it seems to be a perfect fit because my body seems to be the perfect shape for landing on a canvas, and Danny seems to be the perfect shape for putting people on a canvas. So it seems like it's always been that kind of a way, and we've from so many different types of matches that I've had with Danny, like from the likes of these comedy wrestling shows where people were dressed up as like Elvis versus Michael Jackson and stuff like that. That's back years ago as well, probably 2007.
Okay.
But all the way up through like main eventing over 18 shows in Dublin in front of 500 people. Like,
what's interesting about Danny Butler is that in the last OTT event, yourself and Danny Butler went up to chase the Kings of the North.
Yeah.
So and you guys have been tag team partners before. So do you think something like that could even hint a comeback between the two of you in the future?
I think there's like once a year somebody says, a Team Mega reunion, and you kind of go like, just look last year, we've had one last year. Like, so
I've been following you guys as long, so I'm just saying from a fresh perspective.
I get you, like, but it's you just hear it all the time. That's like, should you and Danny Butler get back? And it's great when it happens, but at the same time, I don't think it's as big a deal as when like the 3 or 4 people who talk about it, like, you know, they're like, I really wish there's a Team Mega reunion. Well, you're probably one of the only 4 people that are really looking for it.
Well, you mentioned that yourself and Danny Butler were 3-time champions of Ireland, tag team champions. What would be the other highlights of your wrestling career so far?
Highlights of my wrestling. Well, I think I've had to change them in the last couple of years because every month there's a new highlight. Like with OTT, like I could go back to like one of my biggest highlights, I suppose, is a story from France 2009.
Okay.
That is so we're doing these AWR shows,
right,
and they're being held in Zenith arenas all across France, and we're in front of houses of between 2,000 to 5,000 people.
Okay.
And there's draws on it like Bret Hart, Sandman,
cool,
Sabu, Test, countless. Like, there's so many draws on these shows, and this particular show was happening the day after Ireland was playing France in the World Cup qualifiers in Dublin at the time.
This is the Dublin match.
So
it
was
before Henri.
No, the Henri incident was in Dublin.
Oh, okay.
But we were in France coincidentally for it. So while the French were all over in Dublin, there was a small pocket of Irish people in France.
Right.
And we had got into a pub and started drinking fairly early. and as you do on football days, and it was one of our only days off as well. I can't even remember the town that we were in, because it's just when you're doing those kind of shows or doing those tours, you're going from town to town to town to town, and I don't know which one was Bordeaux and which one was Lyon, like. But anyways, we're in this town and we find an Irish bar, and we all get ourselves situated. We get ourselves a drink, and we get a tricolour over our heads, and we sit around some large French people who all night were just chanting football chants. Now, we're not massive football fans from in the AWR contingency, more wrestling fans.
Right.
So we had ran out of football chants by, say, 3 or 4 chants in. So now at this stage, we're just random songs in chant mode, like the home and away team tune in chant mode. You know we belong together. So that kind of way. So we at one stage, the local news crew found out that there was a bunch of Irish people,
right,
and had arrived at the pub and came to interview us. And it was in and around the time that the news crew had got to us that Thierry had handled the ball, and there was some furious Irish people in that bar that night, and we were having some fun with it, but the French guys thought there was going to be some a bit of a kick-off,
right,
and so the cameras got on us and started interviewing us, and they interviewed Jamie Coleman first, which is one of the guys who's you know him as William Humperdinck in OTT. And he's actually one of the guys that was running these AWR shows.
Okay.
And they interviewed him, and he was hilarious, because we were all drunk. And they got to me, and at this stage, like, when I'm sober, I ham things up, and but when I'm drunk, I will go to town on it. So as she came to me, I had put my hand into my pint, threw tears of beer all over myself, told her that the French should be ashamed of themselves. That that what Thierry Henry had done, it makes baby Jesus cry. And I told him if they want to come and settle it like real men, meet us at the Zenith Arena tomorrow. So I just plugged the show, and at this point I wasn't even supposed to be on the show.
Oh yeah.
So we got to the arena the next day, and some of the guys from the French side of the crew were saying, "You were on the news last night." We were like, "No, were we? We were on the news." Then stuff started coming back to us at the stage. Oh yeah, there was cameras there, and so it turned out that a bunch of more tickets had been bought that morning to the show on the back of what we've done on this news broadcast. Whatever. I've still never seen it.
That's incredible, though. From just that plug from
alone, a few more. Like, I don't know how many more people came, but like there was talk of 10,000, but it probably wasn't that. It was probably 10 people. But
still,
no, there wasn't. There was
those
probably
10 people watching news.
There was probably about between like 200 and 300 tickets sold that morning or whatever, and they put it down to what we were after saying on the news. So straight away they said, we have to do something with this. Joe, being the savvy promoter that he is, said we're going to have to do something with this Irish French thing. So at the time we had Rene Dupree running as the local Frenchman, even though no French person could understand what he was saying because he spoke like Canadian French.
Oh, okay.
So, but he's from
Canada.
Yeah,
French. Okay.
Yeah, and he's living in Japan now. So like,
okay.
So he's absolutely nothing got to do with France, except for he speaks some French.
There you go.
So he runs down with his red, white and blue trunks to do the French gimmick. So they said, right, we'll work something with Maxer and Dupree. Justy will get you to do a manager, and we'll give you a bit of mic time. And I was like, I don't know, like these people don't speak English, and that's fine, we'll get the guy to translate and stuff. And I said, right, fair enough. And we came down to the ring, and I was waving a tricolour. This is just before intermission, I think it was. And I was waving a tricolour. Shawnee was coming out to the ring in an Irish football jersey. And straight away, like there was a hush in the crowd when we walked out, because people didn't know what to expect. Because at the time, like, we had a lot of people coming up to us apologising for what Thierry Henry had done, because French people who were ashamed of what he did.
Understandable, yeah.
And so like, so we're coming down there, and we're not expecting definitely not expecting what happened when we came out. So what had happened was we came out and they gave me the mic, and I was just told, just be angry.
Okay.
I said, easy. So I got on the mic, and at this stage now, like, I am as sick as Rolf Harris's computer history. Like, we were like, we drank so much the night before. So we're now out in the ring. I've got no voice.
Okay.
And I'm on the mic.
Okay.
And I'm telling these people that Thierry Henry is a shame to the French people. If you go to the World Cup, you're a cheater, just like Thierry Henry. I called them, like, cheese-eating surrender monkeys. Anything I could think of that was going to insult the French.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it came to me. I told them all, like, as it was coming to a fever pitch at this stage, because it was all being translated to the French, and they were all kind of coming up, like, really angry. And but you could kind of just feel that the atmosphere had changed in the building, like, and it was that kind of stuff. Like, obviously, I've worked in hostile crowds before, but not really thousands of people now zoning in their hatred to you, because really you're just giving them some truths at this point. Like, it's they couldn't say, like, it's not. I'm not coming out here saying I'm the great guy, I'm the best in the world. I'm coming out here saying you guys should be ashamed of yourselves, and they're really getting hot. And it just comes to me. I said, everybody stand for the Irish national anthem. Now I start singing with my voice. Like, I've got a horrible voice at the best of times. So much so that I was told I'd never be faced because of my accent.
Okay.
And so I understand. But when I'm hungover and hoarse and trying to sing a song to French people in Irish,
Yeah.
it's a different level of audibility. Like people's ears must have started bleeding in that arena. But the noise just came up, and I looked to one side of me, and here's Shawnee beside me with tears streaming down his face. Now, he is a football fan. Like, he was just thinking about Ireland are not into the World Cup. He was looking at me like, he did preach, like, this is gospel. There's tears in there. I'm now, like, my chest is just about to cave in with, like, just the way the people are coming up for it, like. And at this point, Dupree comes running out, legs it to the ring, we scatter, and as I scatter, people just start coming over the railings for me, and I've got, like, little kids, like, just throwing fists at me, and like, just popcorn and whatever snacks they had is coming down at me and just raining at me and Shawnee.
Okay.
And security grabs us and brings us to backstage.
Okay.
And the minute we get backstage, there's like 4 or 5 guys there. Joe, the promoter, Jamie, the other promoter, and like Scotty Too Hotty was there. Test was there. And as we got in, there was just people just flocked around us, and they were like, oh, that's money, we have to do this every night. Every night we've got to do this, that we're in France, and we're gonna bump you up, that we're gonna get you up the card to main event, like.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Like,
go.
we just went out, done what I do, pulled a promo, and it just turned into just one of those instances that you can't explain the feeling that happened. And like, that's a wrestler's Oscar is getting escorted from ringside.
And it all started from a night out.
Yeah, it started from too much beer and a camera being
to
put
main
in front
event
of us.
status.
Yeah.
That's a pretty awesome story, man. So I have to ask you, both as a fan and a wrestler, who are your favorite wrestlers, both growing up and right now?
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho.
To both questions.
To both questions.
Yeah.
And what intrigues you about Chris Jericho?
He's a chameleon. He's like, I've followed him from like back. Well, I think I would have seen him in ECW first. No, actually, I would have seen him in WCW first.
Yeah, okay.
And then I obviously got all those ECW tapes and tapes of him in Japan. Like
Back in his Lionheart days.
Yeah, going on to highspots.com and trying to drag 6 weeks to get a videotape, VCR videotape. And yeah, just love Jericho. Everything he does, from he changes himself like continuously. Like, every year he's got a new character that, like, he never strays away from Chris Jericho, but he'll always change up something in the ring, and he'll always have something new. He's never just relying on his laurels. Like, he always changes up. But I've got so many wrestlers that have influenced me, like, from like Chris Kanyon is one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, because he's just one of the greatest bumpers I've ever seen in my life. Dick Togo, from when he was in Kaientai. I loved him. Like just the I think with wrestling, it's very hard to pick out like that one or two people that have done it for you. Like I could just rattle off different things I've stolen off people, different influences from all kinds of wrestlers, managers, all kind. Like, you know, one of my favorite people in wrestling to watch is the referee Mike Chioda, because how red his face gets when he's counting to number 3. So like, it's like there's so many. I think it's very hard to
for little things that like intrigue yourself.
Yeah, it's very hard to pinpoint just the one guy, but I'll always hold something dear to Chris Jericho.
That's a very fresh perspective of how a wrestler bumps that you'd appreciate Chris Kanyon. That's like you wouldn't hear that from a lot of people. Like, so
yeah,
like,
it's just and even before wrestling, I remember looking at the before I started. Like, I suppose I'm at training pro since I'm 17. Like I done backyard, the time we never speak of, for a few years before that as well. And I was always appreciating those guys as you're watching and you're looking at it as something I want to do. I'm looking at every bit of movement that these guys are doing, and Kanyon was always one of those guys that stood out as someone who always hit nice and crisp on the mat and always made everything look so good.
That's pretty cool. Now the final question I have to ask you now, you this breaks my heart as a fellow beard enthusiast, obviously. Now you recently had your beard cut by the Kings of the North at OTT. Now it's taking good shape now. Like for anyone, we're going to take a picture of this later on, and your beard's in good shape now. But so I want to ask you, as a beard enthusiast yourself, which wrestler do you think, living or dead, has the best beard in the history of pro wrestling?
Wrestler's best beard. Like when you go to there's a lot of facial hair in pro wrestling.
Wacky ones as well.
Yeah, some great ones. I don't know. I think like Hogan's is iconic. That tash is iconic.
That's true.
You've got to if you're talking about facial hair in wrestling, you've always got to go back to Hogan. But then like you've got guys now because of the hipster trend of beards. Like I've been rocking a beard since well before 2015 when everyone else got on the bandwagon. So I'm still a little bit bitter about it. But when you look at, like, everybody's got a beard now. Like, you've got Marty Skrull has got a beard. I remember 2 years ago, Marty Skrull was a fresh-faced party Marty Skrull.
I found his Facebook and he's completely clean-shaven. Like, it's mad.
Yeah, it's, like, they've... hipsters. That's what happened. And but now, like, I get told all the time, people message me when they found out that Joe Coffey was coming to OTT,
right? And
so many women, oh, we love Joe Coffey's beard. I was like, oh, do you? That's great. I've got one. Thanks for letting me know. Oh, isn't Joe Coffey he's so dreamy because of his beard? That's fine. Thanks for messaging me to let me know about how much you fancy Joe Coffey. Thanks a lot for that one. So, like, to say whose beard do I appreciate the most? I don't know. Oh, Sepp Coulter he was rocking some good facial hair there for a while.
That man has a moustache that few can rival.
We could spend so much time like talking about just the facial hair. I've spent so much time like on every one of your questions talking about like just one aspect of everything.
You spent like 10 minutes talking about the France story. It's awesome though.
That's but like ask me who are my favourite people to wrestle. I just mentioned Danny Butler and the Gymnasties. No, there's so many people.
I have to ask you, right? Like I'm currently training down in main stage at the moment, right? Yep. And I was talking to Connor and Joe about this, and they both told me, well, Justy's going to be talking for ages.
Yeah, he's just going to talk. That's like those guys know. Like they know if I come into a room and a question is asked, I can just ramble on forever here. So like they say I talk a lot, but I just think everyone listens a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I just keep talking.
That's it. I'm not complaining at all. So that's about it. Anyway, so Justy, thank you very much for coming in. It's been awesome having you come in to chat.
No problem. Here, let me plug a lot of things here now.
Oh, please, by all means.
Yeah, right. Obviously, I'm plugging OTT.
Okay.
Yeah.
We plug OTT all the time.
I know. So. Like, from my point of view, what we have now in Ireland is something to rival Progress, ICW, even PWG, stuff like that. We've got it at our doorsteps, and I think people really need to get out there. I want to plug all the training schools that are around for a few years. Like Main Stage that you're in, really good. There's some really good people there.
Awesome people.
really nice people. Like a lot of them from OTT. That's where they would have started out, and stuff like people like Kazar Martina, the lads from the Flats. Like all those guys that you see on OTT, most of them are going to be from main stage. You've got Fight Factory down in Bray as well. Phil the Trill Boyd runs that one. Really good trainer, good facility. It's kind of different than what you're going to get in main stage as well. Like still, you're getting shown all the same kinds of stuff, but it's a different perspective of wrestling, and everybody needs a different perspective. And now the guys, the Kings of the North, are opening a training school.
The Uprising School in Belfast, yeah.
Big big things are coming from that, because they are opening that and they're doing it right. So I'm going to tell anyone that's up that neck of the woods or has a way of getting up, even if you're down in Cork, get up for a couple of these training sessions, because those guys know what they're doing. Real professional guys and really good workers. I think, like, obviously they're good workers. Like you can see what they're doing if you're watching OTT. Plugging our video on demand.
Video on demand, yes.
Yeah, get onto Vimeo for OTT video on demand, all of our best stuff, and go back and look at all the old stuff. I'm sick of people coming up and saying like, "Oh, it's I've been watching or I've been going to OTT since," and then they'll tell me what day, and I'm like, "Well, you can see all the shows beforehand." And for what, like €6 to rent?
6 to rent, 10 to buy. I heard
a tenner to buy a wrestling show with me on it.
Yeah,
I paid double that to see me on a
there you go, man.
show.
There you go.
But so that's like get to your nearest wrestling gym, get to your nearest wrestling show. There's going to be Fight Factory shows, MSW shows, shows all around the country. Get to your local one, support your local wrestling, and get onto VOD, and also buy T-shirts and stuff. Like I know. We've got a great audience on OTT that buy so much stuff, but for OTT to keep putting on shows like that, I don't know where they're getting the money for it, because those tickets are not expensive. Like VIP, sometimes when you've got a big draw, like you're going to pay a little bit more.
Well, it was bigger for the show that's coming up in August, like for obvious reasons. Like it's just such a massive show.
Guys, that show in August, like I don't even have to plug that show. That show is sold out.
Yeah,
we're a month in advance.
I bought my ticket last week in fear that it was going to sell out by the weekend.
That's the thing. Like,
yeah,
well, we did try and instill fear into people's minds and hearts.
It worked. Both me and Dara got tickets. So
yeah,
good,
so we're sold out for that show, and the Nasties haven't even been announced, which is, you know, wonderful and also scary in a way that you can sell out a show without having to announce it. But we're like the ace in the hole, that if it's not selling out, then later on, like get the Gymnasties in, and you're going to sell 200, 300 tickets in like a matter of minutes.
Any hints about what the Gymnasties will be up to
on the next show?
Yeah.
I honestly haven't a clue.
I told you, no.
No, there's been just, we get our information kind of in a way that it's like, here's the next show, we'll let you know what's happening. Oh. So like we're still a month away.
Okay.
But I know there's massive plans coming up for September and October.
I've heard about that now. So
yeah, like October is going to be our 3rd anniversary, and from what I hear, the little information I get now, of course I talk way too much, so they do give me not a lot of information. But October is going to be insane.
There you go.
And September is going to be great. Wexford in September.
I heard about what you're going to go down Wexford, like, so yeah. So there's a lot to look forward to, especially in OTT. Yeah. So Justy, thanks again it was an awesome interview, and all the best and more in OTT, and send my regards to the rest of the guys from the Gymnasties.
Yeah,
as well, so.
No problem at all. I'll send them into you someday. They don't
Absolutely,
talk
I'd love to have them down. So
yeah,
thanks so much, man.
All right, thank you.